Thanks to Entertainment Weekly, we got our first official look at Captain Marvel earlier, and besides the great image of Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, we also got some really nice shots of several Kree members and Skrull members. Specifically, we see the Skrull leader Talos, played by Ben Mendelsohn, and after publishing these images, many people online asked two simple questions. First, why do the Skrulls look like Piccolo from Dragon Ball Evolution? And second, why are the Skrulls invading Earth? And to answer this question, we have to review the comic backgrounds of both the Kree, the Skrull, and the beginnings of the Kree Skrull War. So in the comics, the Skrulls actually were originally a scientifically driven race of explorers and traders. They traveled to many planets, and due to their shapeshifting abilities, they were able to easily assimilate into different cultures and populations. And with this assimilation, they were able to make trade agreements, and trade was made very easy between Skrulls and other races for this reason. I mean, they basically would go to a different planet, shapeshift as that creature, learn that language, learn that culture, and then from there initiate trading between the two. As years went by, the Skrulls went to different worlds and eventually landed on the Kree homeworld of Hala. Now at the time, Hala was not only inhabited by the Kree, but also another race called the Kotati, which was like a more plant-like species versus the more humanoid, kind of mammal-like species, animal species that the Kree were. At the time, the Skrull gave each race a year-long test to determine which species was worthy enough of joining the Skrull's trading empire. And to do this, the Skrull gave them technology and stuff like that, some basics, understanding of those things in culture and language, and then left. And a year later, they came back, and the Kotati won the contest, which really pissed off the Kree. So the Kree killed the Kotati, killed the Skrulls that were there on the planet, and then stole the Skrull technology to reverse engineer it. And this is what allowed the Kree to become technologically advanced, and also pretty much laid the foundations that became their empire, focused on the large Magellanic Cloud, which is a dwarf galaxy orbiting the Milky Way. The Skrull, on the other hand, was focused more so on the Andromeda Galaxy with their empire. And because the Kree were very warlike and aggressive, they ended up being really dumb, to say the least, and attacked the Skrull Empire. And before this attack, the Skrulls were largely peaceful, even though the Skrulls were very, very advanced. So if you're wondering which kind of species is the victim in this situation, it's oddly enough the Skrulls. If you're basing it off the comic version. MCU could be totally different, but in this event, the Kree are actually the ones who started the Kree Skrull War. With that, the Captain Marvel movie is seemingly going to feature that, and due to the distances between these two empires, the Kree and Skrull would commonly try finding worlds in between their empires to have for strategic reasons. And this usually took place in the Milky Way galaxy. And this gave the planets of that solar system, which is our solar system, a lot of importance to both races, with the Kree establishing a base of operations on Uranus before they eventually created the Inhumans. The Skrulls, meanwhile, learned that Earth was actually the perfect planet for strategic positioning during this war. And this is because Earth had a space warp perfectly in the middle of both planets. Basically, you could do a warp from the Skrull capital of Tarnax 4, aka Throne World. You could do that to Earth, and then from Earth you could go to the Kree homeworld of Hala. So this is why the Skrulls began sending scouts to Earth, because they were hoping to slowly invade the planet over time to eventually aid in their war against the Kree. So basically, if you want to ask the question of why the Kree and the Skrull want Earth, you could pretty much say it's because Earth is perfectly in the middle of both planets, or I guess both homeworlds of the races, so they really want it for strategic positioning in their war. Due to the vast duration of the Kree Skrull War in the comics and how it ends, it's unlikely we'll see it end in the Captain Marvel movie. Likely it will end in a sequel. And the most likely situation is that in this event, the Earth may officially become off limits to either empire. I say officially because obviously there may secretly be some Skrulls on Earth, and as we've seen in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there are secretly some Kree on Earth. It's very unlikely that they actually may do that, just because that might be a dumb kind of concept that obviously won't be followed through on. What do you guys think? Comment below your guys' thoughts, and I'm really curious to see the Kree Skrull War. I'm curious to see why the Kree Skrull War seemingly was more important to Ronan than the Kree Xandarian War, considering that in the comics the Kree and the Skrulls are much more bitter rivals than the Kree and Xandarians. So comment below your guys' thoughts, and I'll see you guys later.